Alright, hello! So as you know, from probably watching my other tutorial on Robot Rumble 2, that I was planning to make more of these. Well, the time has come for me to make more of these. But instead of using uh, the May 28th build, I'm going to be using the December 10th build to teach you how to build and weld. So, let's get started. Don't mind that, that's just a robot for a competition. Alright, so, it starts as normal, Robot Lab. So I'm just going to name this Wedge Lord 2 because we're going to be building another wedge. So let's begin. So you're going to start off by making a simple chassis shape like in the last tutorial. But instead of extending it, you're going to want to shrink it down like this. I'm going to get to why you're doing this later. So do this. Alright. So then you go to materials, set this to anything of your choice. Titanium, steel, whatever. Let's actually shrink this down a bit. You can actually use this little S button here to enable these so you can mess with your chassis shape and stuff, and also mess with other shapes as well. So let's go on to weapons. So you're going to want to place cubes, but first you're going to want to click this little sidebar here. You're going to want to click mirror. Yeah, see how there's two cubes. And this one's kind of like where the other one is, but mirrored. Yeah, it's cool. So then you're going to want to move these in to where the edge of the cube is touching the side of the base here. So then you're going to want to shrink it down a bit to about there. Or maybe even a little thinner. Now let's do about there. And you're going to want to lower these a bit so it's not as tall. And you're going to want to extend them across the body. And then you're going to want to do the same thing, but across, like front and back. But you see that when I place this here, the other panel spawns immediately next to it. Well, there's another option for the mirror plane. And the y-axis puts it on the bottom, and the z-axis puts it at the front where I want it. So for this one, we're going to be using the z-axis. So you're going to place it there. You're going to rotate. You're going to move it to the edge like the others. And then you're going to shrink it down, like so. Oh, gotta move that one over a bit. All right, and then you're going to set all these to titanium. Congratulations. You just made your first non-chassis bot. Well, at least the bodywork, that is. So, the next thing we're going to do is add the motors. So, my favorite motors to use are the Cat X3360. They're very nice little brushless motors, and a lot of real-life competitors use them as well. So, we're going to rotate. Oh, I forgot. That's on the z-axis. So, for drive motors, you're going to want to mirror it on the x-axis. And then you're going to attach a medium gearbox to the cat motors, like so. And then you're going to take a change transmission, like that, shrink it down to the smallest size, and then move it like so. And then we're going to take the motors, rotate them, and of course move them around however you want. So the M button is for moving them, is for actually translating the motors. The R button is for rotating the motors, or any shape you want. And the S button is only for shapes, like this one. Like I showed you earlier, how you can shrink and enlarge stuff. So you're gonna want the center axle of the cat motor to kind of be in line with this little shape right here. That shows that it's in the center of the robot. So then you're gonna take it, you're gonna rotate it, and flip it kind of like the opposite direction. Also, when you're copying this entire motor setup here, make sure to click the 2 square arrow 2 square, because the single one only grabs cat motors, but the double one, like, it grabs everything. So that's what I did there to get these motors to exist. So then you're going to want to move this over. Move it like so. And move it to where they're almost at the exact same space, but the chains are going opposite directions. Like so. Alright. So you see how all of the components were kind of red. So that meant that they weren't welded yet. And even in, like, when I went to materials, notice I went to materials and then back. That actually welds a piece if it's connected to a chassis part. So, like, I'll give an example of something that's not welded. So this motor, oh, never mind. There we go. This motor is acting weird. Okay, this motor is not welded. So you see how it's red. But as soon as I move it to connect with this little chassis part here, and go to materials, boom, it's welded. So if a component is not welded, it'll fall out of the robot, and that's no fun for anyone. So you have your simple drive base here. So next, let's add the wheels. Now the wheels you're going to have to add a bit differently. So first you're going to do the cylinders. Oh, I forgot to mirror. Like so. And then going to shrink the cylinders down to where they're about this thick. You're going to move them in, and then you're going to take your wheels, which I'll be using the Amplo 8 inches. Well, first, actually, let's go make the actual aluminum. So the reason why I'm doing this is because on the new build, the root part for the chains is completely invincible. You can't break it. So you have to add an axle for realism. So then you grab a wheel, you place it on the axle, move it to where it's at the center there, and then move it in. And then you're gonna repeat. Until the axle is fully covered up. Like so. And then you're gonna grab the axle, press that little button there. Oh, that did not work. Come on. Sometimes the axle is hard to grab, as you see. So you're going to hold shift and press either your left or right arrows until you eventually get to the axle. The axle will not highlight if you're on it, which is honestly one of my least favorite features of Weld. But you'll know it if it shows the chain highlighted in yellow and the tires highlighted in green. You'll know you have the axle. So then you click the button, and then you place it on the chain. And notice it's not completely on that little thing yet, so you just click the wheel and slowly press shift arrow keys until that happens. So there you go. Now you don't have to do this. You can kind of go into the wheel and kind of clip your camera in and see if you can't grab the axle, which is kind of what I do sometimes, but the hotkeys are easier for building. So next, we're going to need something to power the wheels. So you're going to want to volt them at about 75 volts. So we're going to be grabbing these little blue batteries here. These 37 volts, the LiPo 10S 37 volts. And we're going to be using 4 of these for each drive side. Well, for each motor. So you're going to want to copy. So kind of do like I'm doing. Alright. That's in there. And you see how they're all red? If I go to materials, they're all welded. Because it doesn't quite register the collision yet until you go to materials and back. It's kind of weird. But anyways, you have your battery set up. So next, we're going to be putting in the ESCs. I like to use trampas for my drive. So you place them like so. and then you take another trampa. So you remember how I clipped in the wheels on themselves. You're going to want to do the same thing with the trampas, because that makes it, well, technically more realistic. So there you go, and boom. They're technically one trampa in terms of legality, but the game registers them as two. And there's sadly no way to change that, and you can't use a wiring splitter for these. So you have all your internals ready. So it's time to close it up. Oh, wait, I forgot one vital thing. The RC receiver. So on mirror, place it down, and weld it. Now, notice how there's a lot of empty space. If you wanted to, you can make internal framing around the robot to where you're not having to clip the ESCs or the motors or the batteries into the sides of the robot. It makes it a lot easier. Oh, that's like gonna bug me. So I'm gonna grab the little RC receiver and move it over. There we go. So if your base done. So now it's time to close it up. So of course leave it unmirrored. Rotate this piece here until it's flush with all the sides. Well, move it until it's flush with all the sides. You're gonna want to shorten it down to where it's kind of like a lid, and then expand it until it covers the entire robot, like so. Very nice. Let's move this to where the seams aren't really showing. Oh, that is. So you notice there's a seam here, and if I try to move it down, it moves a bit too far. The solution to that is there's this little arrow here called the snap button. If you click the snap button, grab it and slowly move it down. It takes a lot of precision, some very precise mouse movements, but you will eventually, I say eventually, come on, eventually get it as flush as you can. This isn't that flush, but I think it's the best we're going to be able to deal with right now. But you can try it for yourself. You're probably more precise than I am. So let's go back to snap. So you have your drive base. But oh, there's one thing you have to do with the motors. You have to grab the gearboxes here, and I like to set them to 6.1. But that only gears some of them. So if you click the gearbox and it highlights this section of drive, you'll have it mirrored to this part of the drive. So it's going to kind of take a bit, kind of just click around until that highlights. And then you're going to do the same thing to get to that gearbox. Like so. All right. So you have your working drive base. So it's time to wire it. So you can click these, and you can drag them around this little wiring board here. Oh, I just realized I forgot something. So for battery power, there are 4 cats. Well, technically there's 4, but the game registers, well, the tournaments register them as 2, but there's 4 cats here. So you're going to want to spawn 4 electrical splitters. So you're going to go to wiring splitters, 2-port battery hub, and mirror to the x-axis like so. And you're going to kind of want to stack them like that. You're going to grab them, move them like so, and that welds them. So you can see they're kind of they're in that front panel there, so they're welded to the robot. So next, so this blinding white, it makes it hard to build when I turn it to translucent shapes, which is this little button right here that makes the panels invisible. Well, kind of invisible, but they're see-through. It makes them translucent. And T-chassis does the same thing, so see, like that. So yeah, that's just a neat little option, or you could just take this entire top panel off, but I just make it translucent. So next we're going to take this, and set them like so. And then you're going to click on this little thing here, and then you're going to click and drag to the cat motors, like so. So then you're going to move the batteries, like so, because we'll have 4 of these running on each motor. It gives it battery power, so it lasts the entire fight. You're going to grab the 2-port battery hubs, and link them up like that. You're going to link the batteries like this. You can only link the same type of you can only link batteries of the same type. So I could not link say there was a 57 volt battery. I could not link the 57 volt battery to the 37 volt. That's just a random number I chose. I don't even know if there's a 57 volt battery or not. But I run 75 volts on my cats because these add up to 75 volts in total. And cats do have an amperage limit, and they will fry if you don't give them, or if you overvolt them or don't give them enough battery power. So I'm going to keep moving them there, move them there. So just connect like I'm doing. Until everything is connected. All right, so then you're going to go to your RC receiver. You're going to drag the first node to the channel 1 on this trampa, the second one, and third one, so on and so forth. And they always go into the channel 1 port of the trampa. So then, because this is going to be our, let's see, I'm going to make this a more tolerable color for the eyes. Let's make it red. And that top panel is starting to bug me again. So we'll see if we can't move that. Interesting. It's not quite wanting to go. So we're going to go to the size option. And instead of trying to raise it or lower it, we're just going to make it slightly bigger. And there we go. Mostly seamless. Alright, so let's go back to controls. And let me make sure. Okay, so that's where the front of the robot's facing. Alright, these are going to be our left motors. And those are going to be our right motors. Alright. So there we go. And see, your robot drives now. Which is cool. But your robot doesn't have a weapon yet. So, let's give it one. So due to the nature of this build, hinges are invincible. So you're either going to want to put no hinges or little hinges on the robot at a given point of time. So we're just going to give it a couple hinges. We're not going to give it a giant plow because nothing would be able to break the giant plow because hinges are invincible. So we're going to grab we're going to go to the extras music tab and extras, and we're going to grab a bracket hinge square. Oh, forgot to snap it. And then when you're attaching it to the front of the robot, it registers it over there. So let's see. Okay, it's not registered. So you cannot mirror it when it's on a panel of the robot because it automatically mirrors to the back. So there's this little sliver. Well, I take that back. There's not the little sliver of main chassis down there. Oh, well, there is. There's this little sliver of main chassis down there that you can just put it on and then you can move it about. So I'm going to take that, move it like so, to where they're kind of like that. See? And then we're going to take the wedges and put them on. Make it nice and long. Kind of move them in on the hinges a bit. please steel. So now your robot has a weapon. And your robot can get under stuff, like so. And, well, that's kind of a doofy little thing there. Oh, also, don't mind that. Wheels do fall off on the test box for no reason. It's a bug. They're working on it. Just don't worry about it. So it appeared that the wedges are kind of folding in on themselves. So we're going to make them a bit thicker, and that's not what I intended. All right, let's reset. So notice they do kind of fall in on each other. And also, really don't mind the wheels, because they're just falling off for some reason. So the wedges, they're not really getting under anything. So, because they're folding. So you're going to want to click on the hinges. You're going to go to the start target. And you're going to kind of angle them down, like so. And then click enable spring, like so. This did not do anything. I don't know why that didn't do anything. Okay. So, forget about the hinges. We're just going to be going for static wedges. Well, actually, here, let me think. So actually, no, keep the hinges. Keep the hinges. Like so. And we're going to create maybe some little supports that keep the hinges from, well, first let's line it up with the tires. So you're going to kind of want to move them to where they're kind of in the tire, and then you're going to move them to where only there's a little gray bit of the tire showing. So then you're going to move them back over and move them back there. And then you're going to move this to kind of where they're flush with that, and kind of where they're flush with that as well. And we're actually gonna make these a bit thinner. And a bit like so. And we're gonna disable the spring. Okay, that didn't do anything. But instead of flopping around, it should get under things. But what's important is your robot does work. So let's go test it out. And notice it's only 77 kilograms. We'll fix that in a second. But I want to show you that the wedge doesn't just flop, it actually does wedge. Takes a little bit to load. Yeah, this arena will work.
3, 2, 1, go.
Drive around. See, it does in fact wedge. Oh, that is a, So you see how both the robots stopped moving? That means I may have geared it wrong and burnt out the drive. So instead of going for 6, we will go... We'll go for 10. We'll try 10. Gonna click around, okay, get that one, set that one to 10, and we'll go do a stress test. Okay, that burnt out something. So maybe we won't do 10. Let's set it to 0.25 and we'll set it back to 6. No, not 5, 6. Alright. And then we'll go to the other one. Oh, come on. There we go. 6. 6.25. Okay, that burnt out something even quicker. So we'll do 6.1. We'll try 6.1. As you can tell, weld is not really my friend. Um, damn it, come on. Alright, we're just gonna tab over until it gets there. Oh wait, that one's 6.1 as well. Then, was I already on the one that was... Okay, I changed them both. That's nice. Okay, this robot doesn't drive. Oh, man. So set these to 10.1. Hopefully the robot drives now. Okay, it drives and burns out. As you can see, you kind of have to play around with the gearing and find something that works. I swear I've used the 6.1 gearing before, and it hasn't burnt out. Okay, we'll take off the wedges for now because I just kind of want to do a stress test. If it keeps folding in on itself, I'm not going to be able to do that, so I'm just going to do this. Make kind of a flat plate here, so the wheels don't fall off for no reason. And then we're going to test it. Stress test. It kind of burnt itself out, but the front wheels seem to be getting a good deal of movement left. So I think 6.1 is going to be our good gearing to go. So we're just going to delete this, and we're going to add a static wedge because I'm tired of trying to fool around with the wedgelets. So we're going to do this, expand it like so. And we're going to move it like that, and move it across like so. Oh, and we're also going to have to center it just a bit, and then like so. Oh, we got to check for ground clearance. Can a bit of the wheel show? Yes, it can. So we're going to move this back. Move this up front. And set this to steel. And make it blue. Actually, you're going to want to set it to hard ox. Hard ox has the same weight, but it's actually stronger. So we'll keep this titanium. And it looks like you're going to have your first weld robot. There. See, quick, nippy. Burns out slightly less easy than it did with the 6.1 gearing. Okay. Yeah, so here we go. First weld robot. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I know I was having a lot of problems. But yeah. Hopefully this encourages you to get uh into the game. So yeah, first robot. Very nice. Uh yep. This is Spaghetti Coconut signing off.